Okay. Um, you know, as a target individual, I've accepted. Okay. Um, you know, as a target individual, I've accepted the reality of what it means to be a target individual. I understand the true reason why I'm a target individual. This is not, there's a lot of psyops who try to make you believe that this is anything else but what it is really. That this is not a mass government utilizing human subjects, test subjects, in order to continuously improve and add precision to a technology that can manipulate so much, manipulate your thoughts, your body, your organs, your health, and even things around you, people around you. And this is it's a large program that consists of all kind of very, 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 very advanced technology. As you can see here, this is just a picture of what I found out. Well, this is kind of common. It's not common knowledge. I already had an idea that this was what was going on. I guess now I have a specific name of a program of some sort that kind of showed that there's been entities working to find ways to manipulate the mind, what was the word they say, adjust the mind or create some kind of manipulations that are psychological, that are mental, manipulate emotions and manipulate thoughts and things of that nature. And this project Pandora was a program that DARPA, actually at the time it was not even, there was no D, there was a ARPA, so it was Advanced Research Program Agency, Project Agency, sorry, instead of Defense Advanced Research Project Agencies. And in the 60s, mid 60s, they were starting to work on this technology using electromagnetic technology to see the impacts of the brain, and thinking that this can maybe impact how a person can think. They was already playing with that and trying, at least based on this paperwork, which means there's always more to the paperwork. It's probably even earlier than that, but just let's just assume the 60, 65 is accurate. And even in 65, they start, according to the paperwork here, according to historychannel.com, Project Pandora started in 1965 and ended in 1969. Now, that's what they say. They're not sure about the end, but at least officially that's when it ended. But we know that there's continuous studies and research about the mind and the different machinery that can manipulate the mind, right? And especially DARPA, which is just validations, but the validation I already know. I already knew that DARPA is obviously involved. If you go into the website right now, you know that they've been working on a lot of neurotechnology. And matter of fact, when you hear the Brain Initiative, which is an initiative that Obama was kind of pushing to kind of help advance some of this technology related to the brain, and obviously this is for the good purpose, for the purpose of health reason, right? But in their own words, they say they've been working on neurotechnology since the 70s, right? Actually, the truth is since the 60s, and they have a legacy of neurotechnology expertise, basically. But this project Pandora was literally, the goal was to see how they can manipulate the mind in the 60s. It's scary, but that's the truth. And I already had an idea. Now, the reason why I bring that up like that is because as a target individual, you have people, these perps, who wants to come up with this fantasy of what this is really about. It's a psyop. They're meant to confuse you and for you to not see things for what they are. That you're a test subject. That you're a human test subject, and they're doing things to make you experience things that you will not experience naturally. And they truly act in this gimmicky way. When they interact with me, my interactions are via this technology that is also coming from the Department of Defense. The interactions I'm dealing with is V2K. V2K is a voice-to-skull technology where you can hear those projected voices interacting with you directly to your brain. It's scary. It's crazy. And they use these people around me that surrounds your area, that's around you, who, or at least that's what they sound like. They sound like they're close to you. It could just actually be some people who are like not that close to you, but sound closer than they are. Might not even be on the same, floor than you, but sounds like they may be like the next door neighbor, like literally the next across door neighbor. But the reality is not true. Some of them are not as close as they sound to be. But also they could be them, because my neighbors are definitely involved. I don't know if the neighbors interacting with me specifically, but I know they could be also participating in these interactions. But during these interactions, as I was speaking about how there's obvious, clear historicals of obviously those entities coming from the DoD and the CIA, that mind manipulation has been a focus, literally utilizing technology like electromagnetic as ways to manipulate target individuals. It's clear. Because one thing is for sure, target individual, we know we're being manipulated. We know. We don't know the specifics of how this is happening, but we're being manipulated. I can feel my thoughts not being mine. Like, I know that I don't think like that. I know I don't react that way. I know I don't perceive things that way. This is some nasty ways of forcing me to perceive. Like, I know me. I know me long enough to know who I am. And this is something you're going to hear from others. So we know we're being manipulated to experience things that we not experience naturally. Now, we don't know the details of how it's done. Then you do your research and you find out, this been entities, very powerful entities, actually the most powerful entity, the DoD, working for decades and decades and decades to continuously learn how to manipulate the mind using technology, remote technology, like this, electromagnetic. This is in the 60s. You can only imagine how far they are now. Now, obviously, I know because I experienced what they can do. It's disturbing, but it's also very advanced. I honestly can't even try. Like, I'm trying to remember how I would perceive things naturally if I was not being manipulated. I can't even do. At this point, it's so far ahead. They've been doing that so much to me that I can't even perceive things if I don't have a picture. My mind, the memory of what they've done to me, get even worse and worse and worse. And I'm saying that because they're doing these things, right? It's obvious they manipulate me. I made a lot of videos saying that they've been doing that since August 19, 2019, and it's getting worse and worse now because my brain is just like more and more ravaged. I'm less me than ever, and it's gonna be like that all the time. That's why I make videos, to record the slowly me fading away. And the perps, unfortunately, have been humiliated by reality because these entities are obviously running the program, right? You see, since the 60s, they've been doing this. They've been using this technology to see how they can manipulate. Right? And today, they're still doing and trying to improve this already very advanced technology. Now, I'm hearing this next door neighbor who are doing the noise campaign to disorient me. This is also a tactic that they utilize because, as I said, target individual, they want us to be confused in regard of like, no, this is not this massive government that's been working on technology that manipulates the mind. It's this fierce femme fatale, like some fraudulent, and they use children who are damn near on the spectrum. Like, they're already children, so their brain is already on the spectrum, but even more on the spectrum. This nasty lowlife that you're going to hear who they ended up selling their soul to. So what they've done to me is forcing me to get these nasty pedophilia perceptions, which is something they've done consistently to others. One thing you're gonna hear, they have a way. Part of this tactics of manipulating your mind is, and I think Robert Duncan is somebody who's been studying this. They need mixtures of things. They need to depattern you. They need to break you down. They need you to see yourself differently. They want you to remove yourself from who you really are, so they can start controlling you. And one tactic they've been utilizing on many target individuals, and that's something you're going to hear often, is they do this pedophilia type of torture. It's a pedophilia type of torture. It's meant to break your ego. It's supposed to break your self-image and how you look at yourself. Because when you experience this shit, when you experience this nasty reaction, it does not do good to your self-image. You're disturbed. You're like, why am I experiencing this? For example, this video is about this manipulation. not too long ago, a month or two ago. So I'm watching YouTube, and that comes up. This ad, this little girl, between 4 to 6, max. So 4, 5, 6, between that age group. She's sitting down on this little table. The camera view is coming from like the side. She's sitting on this little table. There's a man. There's perhaps her father there, and she's like doing paperwork. She looks like she's doing some kind of paperwork. It's supposed to be like super endearing, kind of like wholesome kind of commercial. The way they made me perceive this baby, and I didn't have the chance to screenshot this picture, this ad. I didn't get a chance to do that, because usually I do that. Boop, I took a screenshot. It's like, this is how they make me look at this baby. They make me have these disgusting reactions. Not even a reaction. Let me be specific. Perception. Make me look at this kid in a sexual, give me a sensation plus a perception that's like almost like a womanly, but with a sensation. But it's impossible to make her womanly because she's a baby. Like she's a true baby. But give me that, and now give me stimulations, which is what they add to the memory. And then they start trying to make me feel guilty about these manipulations. But one thing is for sure, they've been doing these things to others. They have this clear pattern to the pattern target individuals in these ways. What I mean by that is they have forced target individuals to experience thoughts, perceptions, reactions that are very pedophilia ways of reacting. Now with me, once they do these things to me, what they try to do is, listen, what we're doing to you, and listen, they really are trying to gaslight you into a retardation. Gaslighting is when they could be all the proof in the world, all the validation in the world. Matter of fact, the validation that somebody say they're doing the pedophilia type of torture, that is like just on its own. It's just like a boom. That's like, okay, well. But gaslight you is like either way, regardless of, they can have like a video footage of something happening in front. They can gaslight you. It's like, no, that's not true. Right? And that's what they do, because there is so many testimonials that say the exact same thing that I'm saying to validate me. There's other people saying, me as a target individual who's being manipulated by this technology, I am forced to experience these things, this pedophilia type of reaction, right? Another saying specifically, hey, when I'm surveying 1,000 individuals who claim they are a target individual, they all say that they are forced to see child porn in their mind. A woman who says, hey, even when I sleep, I close my eyes, they put child porn in my mind. This is all things I've said. Oh, by the way, another woman says, this time making me feel this weird sexual stimulation. And this time aiming this sexual stimulation even toward children. In so many levels, you're like, oh my gosh, how much more do I need? Oh, it gets even worse. It get even, it's like when you think that there is no more validation comes to another level, which is like, oh my goodness, how far is it? How much more validation can you have? But this trash, these perps contracted by these governmental entities need to stay in character. Because regardless of how validated you are, their job is to make you believe this manipulation is you. And make you feel guilty for these manipulations. So what they do, for me at least, they're like, no, you know what we're doing? It's you. We're mapping you. And they send usually a childlike person, a spectrum-like individual, a kid of some sort, or somebody who sounds like a child, or somebody who make themselves sound like a child. And even if it's a child, the child makes themselves more of a child. Because it's just, even a child can see, like, yeah, we're doing there's some pedophilia. Because they not only know that, because they participate in that. That's their job. So they send these childlike individuals, no, what we're doing via V2K, this interaction via V2K, the disgracefulness of the shamefulness of doing that in front of you is something else. Via V2K, you know what they're saying? Via V2K, it's like, we are mapping you. What you're experiencing right now, your brain right now, is being rewired into you when you were a kid. That's how you see things when you're a kid. Can you imagine that alone? That is, to them, is like a strong logic to hold on to. Like that is how you should think. Like you're a child. Like you when you were a kid. When you were a kid in middle school, this is how you saw things. This perception is a perception that you react that way when you were a kid, and make me imagine having that reaction when I'm a kid, a child, and literally implant that into your memories. This is disturbing, but it's you when you're a kid too. So even if it's a falsified memory, it's a falsified memory of you when you're a child. To imagine that like that, that you'll see things like that when you're a child. So in every level, it's just like this is on spectrum level of intellect that you can't even comprehend. Not only you're falsifying my memories, but you then falsify my memories of me as a child. So you're saying in your logical way that you're making me react, perceive ways I would think when I was a child. Are you telling me with all due respect, like as a grown man and woman that you are making me be a child? So are you saying that you are making me turn into a mentally retarded individual because I'm an adult? Is that the logic way that you try to make me subscribe to this? It is pathetic because even that is falsified. They have the ability. This technology is extremely sophisticated. These individuals might have to dumb themselves down for the gaslighting purposes, right? They have to truly become dumb to sell this fantasy, sell this falsification. The technology is absolutely far from anything close to dumb. It is extremely sophisticated, and the ability of manipulating memories has been done to me many times. Many times they can really manipulate, and I swear you will not even have an idea. You will not even recall anything. That your memory will really feel like you've experienced that like that. Disturbing. Seeing a kid on the other side, look, a 4 or 5 year old, 6-year-old, the oldest, sitting on by the side. She had like a little girl's typical dress, doing paperwork with her father. Very endearing. The way they make me experience this is like, no, that's how you. No, of course I will not experience this thing like that. You are forcing me to experience that memory this way. That false memory. What they try to do is what they're doing is making me imagine how you would feel when you were a kid. How would you see this as a kid? And then make me experience this version with this perception. You see, we mapped it. We matched it. So they even control your memories, which is something that DARPA has been working on. DARPA entities have been working on neurotechnology for a long time, and right now they've been really involved in the brain initiative specific to the memories, saying that they can write and read memories. This is official, and they try to be literally DARPA. This same entity that you see here, with the Project Pandora, in the 60s, using electromagnetic to see how it would manipulate the mind of men. They're literally currently saying that we know that we can not only read but also write memory. We know we can do that, but they say in a very sugar-coated way. It's like, yeah, very basic, memories. Yeah, okay. In the 60s, they were already doing things with electromagnetic technology onto people. 60s. So you understand they're further away than what they present themselves to be. They will never. First of all, DARPA is a very secretive entity. It's very shrouded in pure secrecy. You're gonna hear, even though all that secrecy is going on, they have other issues which just add to the cherry on top of everything. So they are manipulating my memories to say, no, if you're a kid, that's how you experience it. You would experience this. What we're doing is just we're making your brain be a child. And so it's matching to something that you would experience when you're a child. So we're making you feel this way, but this way is matching with something you would experience when you were a kid. That's the logic. Believe this. Accept this. It is truly a retardation, and you hear people in all tonality interacting with you via V2K because they're supposed to create this method acting. They're supposed to act a certain way. They're supposed to sound a certain way, making you believe that if I speak in this fashion, if I present myself in this fashion, this nonsensicalness I just said to you should be understood and find it and rationalized. Right? It's like, oh no, we matched it. This fucking clown. You're a fucking low-life clown. Do you think I'm going to let you stay in character with these retardations? No, you are manipulating me to experience this today. And first of all, I'm not a child. So even in your top logical ways that you want me to be retarded, I'm not going to let you live your fantasy. Now, I know the reality of what this is, and that's what target individual. Please do not identify with any of this manipulation. These people have no shame. You know how you can have shame to say something so illogical, knowing that while you participate in the manipulation? They can't have that. You know how you the shame of when you literally doing something that you know is causing and you want that person to believe listen, can you see the shame of let's just say you stole somebody's thing, so you implanted something in somebody's pocket and you look at that person's no, it's you, and it's you see, and you yourself put that thing in. That's the kind of shamelessness they have. And act really in this oh no, you're gonna rat, you're gonna that. That is the kind of shamelessness we're talking about. In order for you to accept these manipulations, it's truly shamefulness on a level that is extremely disgusting. Even with all the validation that you have that they do this perfect type of torture, they can still look at you no, it's you. We mapped it. We're going to watch you be. Target individual, listen to the obvious things that they do. We're going to listen to this, right? What you see, Project Pandora. This is purely factual, based on the information that is available for the public. Obviously, there is definitely more to it in regard of what they're going to provide as information. But with this little information, as sugar-coated or not, that alone is an indication that they have been working on ways to manipulate thoughts, right? That the goal was to be able to control the mind, the thoughts, and this is in the 60s. So in 2024, imagine the level of supreme advancement they're in. If they were planning and thinking about manipulating the mind, then what do you think they're capable of doing today? Listen to what this is about. Just before I go forward, listen to this specific History Channel piece about DARPA, which at the time was called ARPA, Advanced Research Project Agency.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
So, like I said, based on this information, I should still think that this is not part of this program the government is running that is continuously utilizing human subjects to improve and develop a technology that has the ability to manipulate thoughts. You understand that they truly want you to get to that level of spectralism. And they're using the most childlike individual that want you to stoop to that level of childlike thinking to accept this. It's their job. They truly want you to be a child, to think in these disturbing ways, and in a way that, and accept that, and think that they are not manipulating my brain. Now, this is in the 60s, right? You're going to hear the target individuals saying that all around the world. Saying things that is surreal. It's really scary. It's scary, the things that you are validated by, because it's super systematic. And you have people who've been humiliated by this reality, right? They're humiliated by the reality of this man is saying things that others have said, and it sounds exactly like what others have said. And so we're still trying to make him believe that this is not what we're doing, right? That what we're doing is we're making him think like a child. And the reason why they say that is because they talk about, no, but when I was a kid, I did this dumb thing and this impulsive thing. I will always bring that up, because this is how they try to hold on to what they're doing to me, to validate themselves. Listen, forget about all the testimonials that you're going to hear at all levels, that these people have done this pedophilia type of torture. But remember what you did when you were in middle school. And so they have tried to exaggerate that. They try to make it worse than what I actually did, for the purpose of trying to paint that false picture, that false narrative. Because they have these tactics of doing this pedophilia type of torture, and they want me to think, no, but when you were a kid you thought like that. And then they play with my memories as a child and do this sensation stimulation. And matter of fact, they never say when I was a kid in middle school. They say when you were a kid, when you're younger, when you're preteen, but basically. No, maybe when you're like 10, 12 years old. No, not even 10, 12, even younger, 9 years old. That's when you felt like, don't you feel like that feels more familiar to you when you were like a very young kid? It was like, what? Just nonsensicalness. And make me think of me like when I'm 8, 9 years old. It's like, you see it like that when you were 9 and 10, 9 and 8. You see that's matching. You're retards. You're just making me experience like that when I'm a kid. You know how insane it is to try to make me experience this nasty stimulation, then make me think of me when I'm 8, 9 years old. And it's like, yeah, you saw it like that when you were 9 years old. And then, no, we mapped it. We mapped it to you when you're like 9-ish. They said that to me. It's like, no, you had that when you were 8. You felt that. You felt that when you were 8, 7 years old. 8 years, like literally saying that. Now, obviously, it's the validation that you're going to have that just shows the reality of what they do. Because not only they do this pedophilia type of torture, but the test subjects are not only just men and women, adult men and women. They do that to actually children, babies, which you're going to hear. So when they talk about me as a middle schooler and try to even say, oh, okay, you didn't get this, you didn't experience this, but for what you did in middle school, he abused. Trying to exaggerate what I did as a child, while they actually use this technology onto children. You're going to hear the testimony of the kids they torture using this defense technology. And trying to block that out as they try to make me think of me as a middle schooler doing some stupid thing to myself, while they're in a program that use children as test subjects. For this program that is even utilizing these children to develop this technology, while they are here forcing me to imagine a forced reality, a forced exaggerated reality of what I did when I was a kid. Try to manipulate that to be true, while they're in a program that is literally utilizing kids as test subjects. Which you're going to hear. It's foul. And then even when it comes to psychological manipulations, so okay, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. You felt like that when you were a kid. When you find out that the consistency, and I want to use this word again, consistency with all the target individuals, a lot of target individuals, is this pedophilia type of torture. And I'm going to use that word consistency because it's going to come again when consistency is going to come up to show up another disturbing pattern, which is an extra cherry on top of everything. As they talk about, no, we mapped it to you too as a kid. It's just disgusting. So let me start with the psychological torture. Like I said, the psychological torture is disturbing. First of all, you hear the validation from somebody else saying, and this woman here, Mariana, she's going to talk about how this technology, some call it V2K, synthetic telepathy, has the ability to do things to your psyche, to your thoughts. It can, first of all, you hear this interaction with this perps, this contracted civilians, right? Contracted by this governmental entity to go through this like scripts of things they say to try to disorient you. It's part of this whole tactic to kind of break the target individual down, to make him accept or her accept this false reality. This is the tactics they utilize. Now listen to this technology, and based on what she's saying and how she describes it, which is exactly how I would describe that this technology has the ability to obviously implant this, to hear these thoughts, that they did not hear these voices coming from this purpose involved in it, right? From wherever they are, they can project those voices into your brain, but also the ability to manipulate thoughts and perceptions, which are really disturbing, perverted perceptions. And when she said perverted, I don't think she's talking about this is like toward man or adult individual. Perverted in the sense that is very pedophilia centric, and she's going to use the word pedophilia type of torture at one point, which shows that there's a pedophilia way of tormenting that they're utilizing to break us down. Listen to her describing what V2K is.
Or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just.
So, as you can hear, based on her, this woman who's saying the exact same thing I'm saying, is calling out what V2K is, because she's experiencing that. And just like her, I'm experiencing the same thing. It's this manipulation that are just not only thoughts, but even perceptions and emotions that make you respond in ways that they want you to. I mean, it's scary how they can manipulate you in so many ways. Like, listen to this manipulation that I just experienced this morning. They made me look at like this bird or something like that, and it's just truly unbelievable. But that's the reality. But what's also more unbelievable is that somebody can literally describe what you just experienced, and you have no connection to this person except that we both are test subject. Listen to her testimony about this random manipulation that can make us experience as target individual.
Torture. They coordinate the voices and thought manipulation with the physical torture, so that everything is highly synchronized in real time. They can see everything in my environment before I can, and if something is hidden out of my sight, they can tell me where it is, if they want me to see it. Likewise, they can also make me not see something that is right in front of my face.
So you hear that, and this is global, right? It's a global program, because like any machine learning technology, you want to be able to manipulate everybody in the world, all kind of people, different, no matter what gender, no matter what culture, no matter what age. You have to have samples from all around the world. This is how machine learning technology works. If you only use subjects that are certain ethnicity, certain race, certain culture, then of course we're all the same, but maybe culture-wise, this can be different, the way we think, and so the ability to do that to everybody in the world is the goal. So you need test subjects that are not only coming from one section of the world, you need all around the world. So these testimonies, you can hear testimonies from people from all the way in Eastern Europe saying the exact same thing. Listen to this man. His testimony was in 2007, right? And there was I got this from like a list of 100 testimonials that were sent in 2007, describing what I'm experiencing today in 2007. Now imagine how more precise things are now. Imagine 2007 cell phones, and imagine cell phones today. Now imagine this technology today versus 2007. But listen to how exactly surreally, I'm sorry, that doesn't make this, has surreal and similar the testimonial of this man in Eastern Europe is to what I'm saying today in 2024.
Energy weapons harassment and torture in Lithuania. The open abuse began in the August 2003 when I was a university student, although the signs of mind control influence date back much further, something around 1990. In the summer of 2003, the people who had been torturing me since 1990 started using voice to skull against me, and especially manipulation with my thoughts and imagination. With their equipment, they can not only read my mind, but also implant any images, generate any stream of thoughts, and manipulate my emotions and behavior. Judging by what I have experienced since August 2003 until now, August 2007, the Secret Service of Lithuania has obtained and are using against the citizens state-of-the-art psychotronic weapons that can be used to manipulate and fabricate the processes in your psyche. From what I have experienced, they are able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture. 2003 and 2004 I was tortured with voice to skull, inflicted hyperkinesis, mental pain, migraine, nausea, vomiting and fabricated artificial thoughts.
Now, as he's clearly testified in his ways, it's like they are forcing me to have this stream of thoughts that are tormenting, psychological torturing. This is the things I'm saying. It's obvious that this technology has the ability to manipulate the brain, and obviously this is what they're going for. And there's a psyop to try to present something else. It's funny. With me, it's not funny because I'm going to be the one dealing with this disturbing tortures. But so for me, for example, they're trying to present themselves as this like fierce femme fatale. It's their money. They're just avenging for. It's BS. The government is running this program. They're just contracted to partake in this program, right? But they're saying, you know what? The way they're gonna frame me, right? Once I'm gonna be framed, they're gonna do this. You're gonna be dealing with the worst attacks. These people are gonna do this and that. I was like, yes, but listen, this is. I know you torture women and children. And they tell me, you know what, they're going to hang you. I was like, hanging? I mean, with all due respect, this technology can do so much. I mean, every night I think they can easily kill me and revive me. That's how sophisticated this technology is. And they talk about, oh no, they're going to, this governmental entity that has technology to do all of this. You're talking about me being hung? When I know that my organs are slowly failing right now? Is that what's supposed to make me believe that this is not a program ran by the government when I'm experiencing things right now and nobody's touching me, nobody's doing anything to me? I'm salivating because my organs are just destroyed? Of course, they try to present this false reality because it's part of how they want you as a target individual to start perceiving this false reality. Because it's obvious the government is running these governmental entities with extremely sophisticated technology that have been working on for years. You hear this man talk about even the 90s, but you hear this History Channel addressing that in the 60s, DARPA was already working on programs which they were testing out electromagnetic waves to see how it would manipulate the brain. In the 60s, and they want me to think in this retardation of reality. They still want me to hear them as if they're this mysticful being, because via V2K, it's part of how they create this character. Via V2K, the people interacting with me, and it's not only me saying that, even other target individuals, they try to use this tonality, right? Like, oh, you pray. And I've seen who's interacting with me. Some of these people, I see them in person. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the person talking to me in such a devilish way. Look at her. Look at him. Just wearing sweatpants, get ready. But they want you to, while you are dealing with all this, think of them as if they are just some like, oh, now you pay. Like they fully have even a character, part of how they want you to see things. It's part of this whole gimmick in order for you to accept these manipulations. But you see them in person, you're like, oh my goodness. Really? Like sometimes I look at these guys and women, I'm like, don't you feel embarrassed when you act this way? Because I understand you act this way, so I believe this storyline that you put together. Oh, these people are some avenging group of... When in reality, these people are involved in a program that used human subjects as test subject, even children. But before I go there, now you see that they have these people saying that we are being manipulated to have thoughts, perceptions in this fashion. Something is happening to my thoughts. I'm not being me. Something's happening. This I'm not going to bring that testimony specifically, but there's this woman in the same testimonials that this men come from, like the same list. She's like, I've been me long enough to know who I am. I know my thoughts. I know my ideas. I know all of that. And I know that I'm being manipulated. So for me, it's the exact same thing. I, of course, no, this is not something, this is not natural. But the way they respond to that is like, no, we are mapping to you and you've experienced that. But when you were a kid, don't you feel like this is familiar feeling you felt when you were a kid and then manipulate my memories? As you can hear, they can do these things where they implant information in your memories and just kind of bring it up. And by the way, DARPA, yes, the same entities that was working on the manipulation of the mind in the 60s, currently have done a lot of work on memories and how they can not only read memories but write memories. They are been working. It's just crazy. So you understand, these people also do these things where they can implant false information in your memories and bring it back and create false memories using these technologies. It's ridiculous. Now listen to these tactics of breaking you down with the pedophile type of torture. You're going to hear this consistency that is surreal. Like I said, a man was surveying, meaning that he was asking questions to multiple target individuals about what they go through. What do you go through? You. 1,000. Almost all of them said this thing.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
So there's a clear pattern here that perhaps there's some kind of pedophilia type of tormenting happening, because based on those 1,000 individuals who identify as target individuals, almost all of them are saying this, that they ain't playing child porn in my mind. Now, the way they try to counter this with me has a little hint of kind of like not even racism, but just like this delusionality that the way they present themselves, I should be like, you should look at us. With me, right? Sometime what they have presented, which I detest even more, it's just the most disgusting. This is the entitlement that's just so disgusting. That look at me, look how progressive and intellectual and liberal that I am. And I remember being like in like the laundromats. And listen, you're gonna hear more validation, right? That they do these tactics. This is just the first one I'm bringing up. But that alone should be like a big validation in regard of like this is something they do consistently. And I keep using the word consistently because you're going to hear how consistently they do other things that are so disturbing. But this already gives you a good indication that maybe a strong maybe that there is this tactics that could be pedophilia type of tormenting, and these individuals are in your brain manipulating you. I was in the laundromat and I see this 20-some-year-old, maybe late 28, white, very progressive on the liberal side. And she was trying to sound like, and they have these ways of acting. It's like a gaslighting tactic, right? They love to present themselves in certain ways. The part of the way they try to kind of make you accept this BS. And they want you to dumb yourself down. You know yourself. You know who you are, right? But these people involved in the program, what you just heard, the manipulation of thoughts, perceptions. And almost all target individuals are being forced to experience this nastiness. Not think that you're being manipulated, But because the way they present themselves as this super woke progressive, and they come in all shape and form. I know this is just they thought that was going to work with me, right? Because I lean toward the left. I'm more liberal, I'm more progressive in things. But because of this fraudulency, I've seen all the aspect of fraudulency from the left to the right. So they wanted to present themselves that way because I was going to be like, oh, look at her. She's such a sensible, progressive individual. She's truly investigating. She's not participating in this manipulation that forced men and women to have this perception toward children that's sexual. You understand how disgusting? And so I could see her just act in certain ways, and they have this acting, and they go through the scripts, which is something others have said. They exactly describe what these people do. And she's like, oh, our toddlers. Because what's happening is today, when I see these little kids, little girls especially, little girls, they force me to get these nasty reactions, which is say, no, what we're doing is a reaction of you when you were a child. And they make me have the stimulations, and like they start laughing. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, of course you make me feel stimulation. Matter of fact, I was on the call, and somebody said something about toddlers. There's just the word toddlers. I start getting stimulations, which is say, no, we map this stimulation to you as a child. And they want me to be like, you see, that's proof. We proved it. We're not manipulating you. It's our research. It is delusional to think that I will ever identify that. But even with this level of validation, that these entities have been working on these things forever. So this program is run by those entities. You know that, for example, you just heard this. You heard DARPA in the 60s working with electromagnetic radiation to see how it would be able to manipulate, how they would be able to manipulate the brain and the effect with the manipulation of the brain in the 60s. Today is still ongoing because this manipulation is going to be more and more precise. They want to continuously be able to manipulate more in a more efficient way, in a more precise way, in a way that is just less and less obvious. They obviously can already manipulate you. Now they want to see how the improvement of manipulation, how better they can manipulate you, the best way to manipulate you, the more efficient way, the more precise ways. Manipulate other aspects that are even more deeper manipulations that are more in your consciousness, and that's the reality of what we're in. While the people who are contracted, the civilians who aren't perhaps directly connected to the Department of Defense, directly connected to DoD, they're not directly connected to DARPA, but because this program needs a lot of hands-on participation, right? They submerge the target individual whole surrounding with people who are the sole job is to break them down, bring him or her down. So they take people all around you to participate, and they do their part, go through the scripts, and their job is to break me down into accepting that these nasty reactions is natural. Oh, look, oh, you see? You feel that at toddlers, you felt like that. No, you are forcing me to experience like that. And with me, I'm forgetting more and more who I was before August 19, 2019. It's getting harder for me to get my brain back to who I was, because it's being forced into me day in and day out to condition me like that. But I will always recognize this as they have been manipulating my brain. They've been manipulating who I am. And they are conditioning me to think this way continuously. It is foul. But to think that the way you present yourself, I'm going to forget that, because these manipulations, you're going to hear the testimonies of others saying the same things. Then you're going to hear that the test subjects also include children. And then you're going to hear what's going on with those entities running this program, not these bottom feeders that you see around that try to make it seem like this anything but this massive government running this program. Now listen to some more testimonials of these tactics of breaking down the target individual.
It's what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos in my...
So the same person who was describing the V2K, the first woman that you heard talking about what is V2K and how she described it as V2K, she says that they made her smell baby powder or Pampers, and then make her experience pedophilia type of torture. Do you think that these people do not utilize pedophilia of some sort to torment target individual? Ever since I heard that terminology utilized, I've been using the same terminology, the pedophilia type of torture. Now, at this point, this level of validation is just overwhelming. That this is a tactic that is pedophilia centric. They're trying to continuously say, no, the art toddlers is for little girls, so it's you. We mapped it to you as a kid. That's how you experience when you're a kid. When you hear a grown woman saying, they're forcing me to experience this pedophilia type of torture when I'm smelling baby powder. I don't even have to look at a baby. Just the smell of baby powder, which they can manipulate the sense of smell. This is how precise this technology has become. It's because they're continuously utilizing human subjects to see how much more they can manipulate. As I'm saying that, they are saying things to disorient me, because these are validations that are so damning that you cannot, unless you have accepted to put yourself on a state of retardation, there is no way to not look at this for what it is. Pure validation that they have been using pedophilia as a tactic to break down the target individual. And these disorienting tactics to say whatever they need to say to counter reality is for the target individual to not see reality for what it is, because they want you to identify with these manipulations. I'm hearing this man saying, this is going to happen to you, this is going to happen to this, and then I'll die, and they're just saying random things. I don't care when he dies. He just wants me to just not speak about the obvious things that they do, because it's too obvious. When somebody literally describing what I'm describing said, I smell baby powder, they make me smell the smells that are not around me, and that's part of how they can manipulate you. Nuts around me and make me feel sexual stimulation. I know that they can do that to me too. They can make me smell things that are not around me. That's why. And that is why they're using us human subjects, because they want to have the ability to control us in every way possible, us as in human beings. These entities have the goal to continue develop this technology. What else is controllable in the human being? What are the places, the things that we need to continuously be able to manipulate into people? That's why they use human beings all around the world, for the ability to continuously improve these tactics, this technology. Well, these people are like, no, what we're doing, we're mining. Is like, no, they're mining how to manipulate you. They're figuring out what is the way they can manipulate you to experience this nastiness. It's a program that is developing the ability of manipulation of the mind. And so when they do this pedophilia type of torture, they want you to feel like you experienced that, then try to make you experience, and then find ways to, how can we make this person start identifying with these manipulations? And they use all kind of individual, some of them are childlike individuals, to continuously have the ability to, hey, you're going to hear things that are just super validating to him. You're going to have to ignore that. You're going to have to be dumbed down, because it's just so damning. And I'm doing my part to speak about what's happening to me, so somebody else who goes through the same thing be like, listen, not only he's saying that, but he's saying these people, he's look at it, obviously we're doing these things. And when we see each other in person, at this point, the level of validation I have, regardless of how you make me respond to these babies, these toddlers, I don't know that you do the pedophilia type of torture. And you are saying that you're just making me experience how I experienced things when I was a child. What I'm validating in every way is that these tactics have been applied onto others. I've heard other person say exactly what I'm saying. But it doesn't end there. Listen to this person talking about how she is acknowledging that there's people around her participating in changing who she is, make her have thoughts of pedophilia. Listen to her. This is a testimony of a woman, or a transgender woman, who is no longer with us. She passed in 2014, I believe. Listen to her.
It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like, it's disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know.
So there's a clear tactic in using this pedophilia type of torture. With me, I just got done with a call, and they still try to make me believe, we're just femme fatale, and we're like, listen, these people are disgusting human beings for involving themselves in a program where the mind is being manipulated in these pedophilia ways. And target individual, please do not subscribe to this psyop. These people are comical. In the few video, you'll see these people, cowards as they are. I'll make a video to show the people that can be involved in these remote tactics, involved in causing some of the foulest things, and still want to dilute this reality. For me, I'll never let them live their fantasy. Target individual, do not be dumbed down by these people. They have utilized this pedophilia type of torture for a while, and they make you accept these manipulations that they want you to believe that is something you should subscribe to. With me, what they do is, when they bring up this testimony, it's like, no, but remember what you did as a kid. We're severe. Well, you're going to hear how severe they are to children. The test subjects that they've used for this program. My death, I understand, is going to come because I was put in this program where they torture even babies. Any participant in this program are fully aware of what they're capable of doing. For me, I made it hard for them to dumb themselves down. And it is disgusting to see some of the people involved in them and in this program and wanting to live that deluded reality. That's why I make these videos, actually. Some of these videos, you'll see, maybe in the next video, you'll see a blurred picture of somebody who is trying to make me believe that these governmental entities are not the one running this program, but it's like some kind of femme fatale with their money and their avengement is what they're part of. But it's not the case. I've made plenty of videos of women they've tortured in this way, and this transgender woman who's no longer with us because she died was tortured in a way that is psychologically this way, where people around her tried to make her believe this false reality, where she was being manipulated in these disturbing pedophilia ways, and then try to make her think that she should kill herself for these manipulations. But it doesn't end here. As I said, the validations are surreal. This is this testimony of this woman who literally is forced to get sexual arousals toward children. She goes through how it started. It started off while she's doing this program perversion aimed toward the children. The dog, and then the children. I'm just so thankful that I didn't stoop to the level that nastiness. But listen, this is just the beginning of this video. You will understand how nasty this program is, and the people involved in this program, how foul they are, and how humiliating it is to try to still maintain some kind of fierceness when they involve in these things. Now, like I said, they are manipulating us target individuals in these nasty ways, and want to still live a fantasy that is falsified. Listen to this woman who, by the way, was raped using this technology and then psychologically tormented in these ways. Listen to this.
Happen, but then I told them that they would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realize that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course, this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing. And then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexual.
So you hear this. This is a testimony of a woman who not only have been tortured in physical way. This technology that they implement onto us can do so much. It's more than just psychological torture that can make us experience. This technology can do things to us, like literally destroy organs remotely. But here I'm just bringing up the specifics of the manipulation of the mind. You hear this woman literally saying that they started making her feeling stimulations when she was petting her dog. When she was petting her dog, they start making her feel sexual stimulations. Then, of course, they start aiming that toward children. Of course, they start with young people. Oh, I don't know if they were children, those young people, but then obviously children. Then homosexual too. So you understand there's a pattern here. There's an obvious pattern. Now, please target visual, the psyops. Like I said, for me, it's been this disgusting psyops, which they think that, they truly think that their gender and their race and their, not even their race, but the way, how progressive they appear is changing reality, as if, oh no, you know what, you involved in this program that torture women and children because of your gender. Now it's okay. Because of your political status, you're a progressive individual. You know, you won't be involved in that. What? These people are so delusional to think that I'm going to ever let them live their fantasy. You'll see some of the... Now, when I make videos, I bring up the people who want to ignore this reality that is so overwhelming. Because this reality that these people are using human subjects in this fashion for the purpose of using them as test subjects to implement this technology is so disturbing. What kind of human being can be involved in this? Well, all kind of foul, low life and cowards. You know, it's just sad. You're gonna hear something I'm gonna bring up now. I will not let that happen. I will not let these people escape. You know, I live in New York City, right? And so when things are happening outside of New York, they somehow think that, oh, you see, it didn't happen in New York, so we're not involved in this. When this program is global. I'm gonna bring up the mass shooting that just happened in October. The man who killed 18 people, which caused the largest mass shooting in the 2020 year, 10th altogether. It was done in Maine. You know, to counter that, the perps say random things like, oh, this is not in New York, so we're different. What? So you tell me if I go to Maine that will stop? Matter of fact, the man came into New York State for a second, and that's why he was hearing voices initially calling him a pedophile. But going back to here, I'm gonna get to those acts later on. But what you're going to hear is more testimonials that this pedophilia type of torturing with me and with others, if even consist at night, they manipulate you to have dreams that are pedophilia centric. They've done that a lot early on when this synthetic therapy TMV2K started with me. They were bombarding, they literally were conditioning my brain in these pedophilia ways. They're doing horrible things in these ways of training my brain. I cannot let these people think that I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? You're definitely not doing any pedophilia type of torture. Toddlers, it's me. It's natural. It's supernatural. Matter of fact, it's so natural that you're making me be me when I was a child, because that's when it makes sense, right? Delusional trash. They force me to get sexual arousals. They can manipulate the sexual libido of a target individual. Listen to this testimony of somebody saying how they can manipulate sexual arousals.
The body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the...
Okay. So like I said, they can manipulate the sexual arousals. Why do you think these people who have the ability to manipulate sexual arousals, how do you think they're going to manipulate your libido? Of course, you heard the pattern here. It's going to be pedophilia centric. That's how nasty these bottom fears are. Going back to the dreams, while you sleep, they can modulate dreams that are pedophilia centric, make you have like imaginations or dreams that are pedophilia. That's what I experienced it. And listen to this person saying the exact same thing.
Often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
I mean, the validations are just magical. I mean, the way we are validated, that obviously your brain is being manipulated in a way that's disturbing. Well, the way they even validate themselves is how they manipulate you. That's their validation. They are validated by the way they can manipulate you. They are validated by the things they have to force you to experience. And this is what perps are there for. And the way they go through is like, no, we are at war. This is a war. The war is to make you believe this falsification of how you're experiencing things. You've heard, like, this is specific to the manipulation. If I bring up the testimonials of women, it's going to be scary. Because for me, they create this psyop. Like I said, obviously, I know who's running this program. Please do not go with this psyops. They try to make you believe that this is anything but this massive government using you as a test subject. Test subjects like this.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan. And please give us a congressional hearing.
This is the bioethics of 2011. The bioethics is supposed to kind of see if any studies are using human subjects and making sure that they're going through the ethical, steps and processes when using human subject. This woman is Catherine Nestor. Catherine Nestor is a target individual, and she's saying that her and her young child are test subjects in the same program that we're being targeted in. She's dealing with the electromagnetic radiations the psychological tormenting, the neural manipulation, neural monitoring, the directed energy, and her and a young child have been damaged, not only psychologically but physically. It's funny that this bioethic is brought up because I was reading a journal about memory manipulations, and they were calling out DARPA being one of these entities working with this brain initiative, and bioethics committee needs to look into that, as they, this brain initiative consists of memory manipulations. Everything comes back to the end, like to reality. They also torture, like you heard, they torture young children, test subject. They don't torture them just to torture them. It's their test subject, which consists of torturing them for them to get the result they want you to have. Listen to how this target individual that you heard initially talking about voice to skull and how it impacted her ways of thinking. Listen to this.
Language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. And I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. Year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay.
So you hear that test subjects are not just adults. They're using babies and kids, and I can bring some more testimonials of actual babies being tortured as subjects to use this technology onto toddlers. Remember when they say, toddlers enforcing me stimulation? This is what they do to toddlers. This is a 3-year-old you just heard being harmed sexually by this technology for the purpose of this program. This is sometimes they harm the children, not just because they are targeting the children, it's because they want to get the results from a target individual who's the adult. So they're seeing how is this woman responding from seeing a toddler being tortured. This mental result is something they benefit from, and the goal is to create misery. And this misery is used as a database. So some of the misery, the way they cause misery on some people, if you have children and you're a target individual, they're going to get that misery out of you by torturing your own children, your babies, to see how you react. And to recreate this kind of misery is disturbing. There is nothing worse to be a parent and your child is being harmed, but you can do nothing about it. So these people who are seeing how to manipulate the brain, they will take advantage of that. They will see, okay, oh man, if we hurt this child, look at how she's going to react. Oh, she's going to respond this like, and they want to know. This is about the manipulation of the mind. They want to know how to create different reactions. What kind of reaction do you get when you see somebody you care for, especially a baby, being harmed, and you can do nothing about it? Imagine if it's your own child, which is the case. They've done that too, where they force you to get reactions by torturing your own children. The pedophilia type of torture is the same. Is to have the same concept. When you experience this nastiness, it torments you. It's a way to break you down. Now imagine if they wanted to break you down by torturing your own children, they will also get some misery type of results. Maybe even worse than the pedophilia type of torture, because now we're talking about harming your own babies. So this is why they manipulate us psychologically in these ways, is to create a stressful reactions. And it seems like this is how they feed off their database. But they try to paint this facade of what they are, what this is about. They try to present it like as if they're anything but this large government. It's nasty. They try to present themselves as like we are protecting our children, our babies. Matter of fact, as I was saying that, they would try to bring up something that shows how manipulative they are. Sometimes I don't even have to see a child to get the nasty manipulation. Sometimes I can think that it's a child, not actually seeing the child. Matter of fact, sometimes I see somebody who's like, I see a dog, and from far I think it's a child because the small size. They stimulate me. They do these things. I don't even have to see children. Just like that woman said, the smell of baby powder was enough for her to be manipulated in these pedophilia ways. So for me, it's the same. Just thinking that perhaps whatever I'm looking at is perhaps a child. Maybe I did not see if it's a child. I don't know what this child looks like, but it looks like I saw a little dress. I think it's a child. I'm not sure. I don't know what that person looks like. I don't know how that child looks like. But potentially a child. So pedophilia type of torture. I don't even have to see the child. It's nasty. But you hear what they can do to children themselves. You hear how they abuse children. You heard the torturing of a 3-year-old. So you hear that they're capable of actually harming children and have been doing that. But it's not surprising coming from people who are manipulating men and women in this nasty reaction toward children. These are not people who care about children. They want just the target individuals to get the result they want you to have. It is so foul. And then they try to make you believe, no, wait. For me, it's like, no, but remember what you did as a child. Try to exaggerate what I did. Some dumb things to myself as a kid in middle school. Try to make it seem like, no, you see, that's proof. Some stupid thing of a kid. And today, when they make me have this nasty manipulations, like, no, we mapped it to you as a kid. No. You're doing the pedophilia type of torture. And matter of fact, if you talk about abusing children, listen to what you just heard what this woman experienced, seeing a 3-year-old go through, a 4-year-old go through, a 5-year-old go through, a 7-year-old go through, and the list goes on. I can bring some more testimonies of 3-week-old babies being tortured. So you gotta remember, they're trying to counter reality and make you believe a false reality. They want you to accept these manipulations, make themselves present themselves, we're protecting kids, we're protecting women, we're avenging kids. You pay now for what you did. They're involved in this. You pay now for what you did as a kid. We are femme fatale, women protecting. They are trying to present themselves as anything but what they're truly part of. Listen to this interview with this man, Robert Darkin, talking about how they like to present this false reality.
here's how I do my studies, and I wanted to find the commonalities, but I have to throw away the ones I'm uncertain about that are true targets. You know, maybe there's natural schizophrenia, there's a whole bunch of chemical imbalances,
Right,
etc.
right.
These weapons can actually induce and mimic all those diseases and effects. But the conversations, the scripts they're called, are always the same. And I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each individual, but they're scripts. And they're meant to confuse. The very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. If you've ever been to boot camp, you're a worm until you're part of the team. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
They truly try to make you believe everything but the reality. That this is a program run by the government, mass government entity like the Department of Defense, that is continuously developing technology that can manipulate the body, control the body, and do things to the body. They try to make you forget this reality.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
I want you to think that this has nothing to do with these entities that have been for decades and decades and decades working on technology that can manipulate and rewire the brain, that can change the brain, that can modulate the brain. But it is just some kind of group of femme fatale avenging, like this deluded reality they want you to accept. It's just childlike almost. But it's gaslighting. And so for me, because I keep bringing up this reality that they hate. They hate this. They hate the fact that there's a problem. They hate the fact that there's so much validation on my end. And so for me, they're trying to compensate for the obvious reality of what this is really about. It's just too obvious. Like, listen, I'm not a genius. Everybody can see obviously who's running this program. What's the issue with it? Like, you understand that it's obviously governmental entity and the tactics are so specific. I mean, you just heard multiple times talking about pedophilia type of torture, pedophilia type of tormenting, while asking 1,000 target individuals, almost all of them say something about child porn being viewed in their mind for stimulations aimed toward children. Like, how much more can one have as validations? Oh, there's more. Okay. Now, it's clear that obviously these DOD entities are running this program. Do you understand how disturbing it is to find out that those DOD entities and DOD as a whole has a major problem with pedophilia? Major issue with pedophilia. Listen to something that just like this is based on 2019. But there was a ranking coming from 2018 that has been consistently shown a nasty pattern. Consistently. Listen to this.
Investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who were being recognized as the ones who were perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head on." Now, the